Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Carl. I'm a recovery coach here at Cap Recovery Center. This is our Freedom Fridays meeting for the day. And the article I have here is Freedom from Guilt, Shame, and Resentment. So I'll hop right into it. It says active addiction puts people in survival mode. It leads them to do things they wouldn't normally do, whether it's draining the family savings account from hydrocodone, stealing from neighbors, friends, or coworkers for heroin, money, or neglecting family events to get high. Someone who is addicted to drugs or alcohol must find a way to get their drugs of choice. Every day, it does not matter how they get it, who it hurts in the process. All it matters is meeting the need of the addiction. No matter what the cost to an addicted person, meeting the needs of the disease can be more important than sleeping, eating, shelter, or any other type of basic human needs. Because of the obsession with the drugs of choice, people in active addiction often do things that cause them shame and guilt. Without the compulsive behavior caused by addiction, you have more to normally do these things. So in order to avoid remembering and revealing those feelings, you flush out the memories of shame with more drugs and more alcohol. Now I was reading this article today and I'm like, they wrote this article about me, right? And like I learned to identify, not compare. This might not be your story, or maybe you can relate to some of it, but this is definitely a little bit of article about my background and my past. And it talks about not sleeping, not eating, don't care about shelter, the basic human needs that I didn't care about. Like it was about me getting and using and finding ways to get more. And it didn't care. It talks about hurting family and taking stealing money from our coworkers or our family members. So that's just like the means of getting more. Not caring about our families or friends or about their emotions and feelings. As long as we got what we wanted, I got what I wanted. That at the end of the day, that's what mattered. Didn't nothing else matter but me and getting more. And it says the beginning of the recovery process. Many people beginning the recovery process walk into rehab with their shoulders slumped or heads hanging low, as overwhelming feelings of shame, guilt, and resentment return. Without drugs or alcohol to buffer those memories of mistakes made, people that have been hurt, and things they wish they could undo. Taking the first steps in recovery can be especially difficult. You can go back in time and change what it has done, but you can't work to reshape your feelings. And I guess it talks about a little bit of the beginning of the recovery process. And like we come in here with these guilt, the shame, and these resentments. We come in with a lot of baggage. Some of our stories start to go in treatment, some don't. Whatever your recovery pathway is was meant to be. And it talks about going into treatment and with these overwhelming feelings and emotions, right? And it's very overwhelming, especially with me in the beginning of recovery. It was like a lot of things going in my mind. Like, I was overwhelming myself, and I came in recovery with a lot of guilt, shame, a lot of fines, right? That's one thing. I didn't have, a license, or I didn't have a house to stay at. I mean, I did, but I didn't, right? So I got out of recovery, went back to mom's house, right? Lived on her couch, so as I did as before. But these are like stepping stones. Right? I came out of treatment, and I did something different this time. I started going to meetings, and I started getting a sponsor, getting a home group. I joined a 12-step fellowship. Like I did stuff different this time. Because I was always the revolving door of going to treatment and getting locked up, or just the chaos and the conflict of using drugs and alcohol. It was a revolving door for me. I kept using and didn't want to stop, or I kept using and did want to stop but didn't know how to stop, right? And I got out of treatment and went to a meeting. That's what I was told to do, and that's what I did, and been here ever since. But beginning of recovery can be very difficult because we come in with a lot of baggage. This is number one here. Oh, let's see here. Recognize your guilt. Break the cycle of guilt and shame by recognizing that it has taken hold of part of your life. By facing your wrongs and taking responsibility, you are able to free yourself from the prison of those feelings. Remember, addiction isn't a character flaw or lack of morals. It's a disease that can be overcome. Guilt can make you feel as though you'll never recover and can truly hinder your self-esteem. But by looking at your guilt as a springboard into a new chapter in your life, you'll be able to find a life filled with acceptance, hope, and peace. So a little bit I got out of that is like, I come in recovery and I put the drugs and alcohol down, right? But like if I'm still filled with guilt, shame, and resentment, that can hinder me from fully to change. If I'm clean and sober and I've still got these guilts and shames and resentments, that holds you back for your full potential. The recovery process has taught me to let go, of the past and this guilt and shame and resentment I had. And sometimes that does arise. That stuff does arise in recovery. It just doesn't go away, but recovery has taught me to deal with it in a positive way, to let go and let my sponsor help me, let other recovering addicts help me through this process. That's one thing I try to do always is to do things on my own. I was always self-willed, and that never worked out. My past experience shows that, when I try to do it myself, it usually doesn't end up good. So I had to do everything different this time, like everything. And it's not easy. It's definitely not easy, but it's a lot easier not using drugs and alcohol and dealing and facing my problems in a positive way. Says number 2, don't identify with your mistakes. So guilt can destroy your self-image. It can push you to identify with your addiction. It can drive you to feel like a terrible person without properly treating guilt. It can consume you, thoughts of negativity, often any other thoughts you may have. Refuse to let addiction define you. Recognize past behaviors, but don't identify it. The best way to start is by reviewing the good things you have done in the past, and now that you are sober and beginning your journey into recovery, all the good things you can plan doing in your brighter future. So I look at it as that is like my past doesn't define who I am today. Like who I was in addiction doesn't define who I can be in the future. Yes, I have done some unpleasant things. I can always revisit the past, but it doesn't make who I am today. I'm a totally different person than I was when I was using drugs and alcohol. And that comes through the process of recovery. I have to break this illusion that I was this person in addiction, this hateful person. I was broken, lost, confused, filled with shame, guilt, resentment, fear, anger, a lot of negativity, right? And through the process of recovery, I learned that that was just my disease of addiction. I was trapped. I was really stuck. And through working on myself, I learned that I am not that person anymore. There was just a part of my life that I was stuck in, this vicious circle of drugs and more drugs and using, and not just using drugs and alcohol, but using people. A lot of my relationships were broken because of this, because I was using. It was all because of me. It wasn't because of nobody else. It was because of what I was doing, my actions, and what I was what I was doing in life. And I totally do the opposite today. Thank God. But little by little, um, this shame and guilt and these resentments start to dwindle away. As long as you work on yourself, that's one first and more important thing that you have to do is have to put the work in. It says number 3, understand that feelings are not fact. I like this one. You may feel as though you will never be able to cope, as if you'll never loosen the burden of shame. But as much emotional pain feelings may put you through, the feelings themselves will not kill you. However, what you try to do to avoid those feelings, like drugs, alcohol, and unhealthy codependencies, will kill you. Feelings are not fact, and will focus, therapy, and recovery you can change them. Yeah, feelings and emotions are not always factual. They're based off our own minds, right? So, and they won't kill you, and they don't last forever. But in active addiction, that's how I cope with my emotions and feelings. Drugs, alcohol, nothing positive. I was always suppressing and avoiding my emotions and feelings. So I keep brushing them under the rug with drugs and alcohol, and it just made bigger problems. It didn't make no things anything better. I know that. But we think it, and drugs was a temporary fix for a solution that needed positivity. My solutions needed me to face them head on. I had to get some guidance, not running off my own juice, and the problems that was in my life I had to cope with, and I was coping with them with drugs and alcohol, and it always made the matters worse. Never made my problems any better. And that keep doing that over and over again, I got sick and tired of and being sick and tired of my own BS. It was the same vicious cycle, and it was tiring. Towards the end of my run and towards the end of my addiction, I was broken, I was lost, I was confused. I had to, and then we talked about the gift of desperation. I was desperate. I had to do something different. And thank God that I came into recovery and did and worked on myself. Let's go to number 4. It says socialize but practice social. Addiction is a disease of isolation, and guilt can be too. With feelings of shame clouding your head while in recovery, you may want to steer clear of friends, loved ones, and other people. When you are closed up and closed off by guilt and shame, there's no way that anyone else can get in. While alone time can be healthy, isolation is not. Isolation will give you time to ponder on negative thoughts. Make the time to connect with others and who you will support and encourage your path to recovery. And stay away from those who put you down or surround you with peer pressure. Cleanses your friend zone and will fill with people you can confide in, like a sponsor, close friends, or counselor or therapy. Yes, a lot of things that a lot of people, places, and things that I had in active addiction, I steer away today. People, places, and things is very big in changing in recovery, and I avoid all that. I can't put myself in the same situations I did in active addiction in recovery. Like some people I see today, I love and care about, but I can't participate in their life or their lifestyle. It's just not good for it's not good for me or my recovery. But I can always be there to help them if they're willing to receive the help. So I surround myself with people that are in recovery and what that's for me. They want my best interest today. It's not like when I was in active addiction, it's like what I can get from you and what you can get from me. It was always this lying, scheming, untrustworthy, all this conflict and chaos. Not just getting the drugs or using the drugs, but getting the drugs in the process. It was just always some kind of negativity around. There was nothing positive. Um, yeah, so I had to like break that people, places, and things. I thank God I've done that in like early recovery. Like I was like I said earlier, I was desperate and I didn't want to repeat the same mistakes. So I had to do something different, and I changed people, places, and things. Yeah, it can be uncomfortable at first, right? But it needs to be done. It had to be done because I don't want to keep on using. I don't want to keep on destroying my life and the people around me, right? Um, I had to change everything. And the last one here, oh, I want to talk real quick. It says about isolation. And it talks about when you get in isolation, we can ponder on these negative emotions and feelings, which is not good. Isolation can actually kill you. So I had to open up and be honest. I don't have to be open up and be honest with everybody, but I have to open up and be honest with somebody. And that's why I have a sponsor. That's why I do therapy here at Capital Recovery Center. And for me, also, we welcome all pathways of recovery. Um, one of the things I do suggest is getting a sponsor or getting a therapist or a counselor, seek professional help. Um, because just not in addiction and recovery, like just in life in general, we need help, we need support. And I need to open up and let people know where I'm at. If I isolate and keep everything myself, eventually I can go back and relapse, which I don't want to do. I have people in my life that care about me and want the best for me. And I have a good group of people and support network that I can call at any given moment. It doesn't matter what time it is. If somebody don't answer, somebody will call me back, or somebody will answer. And that goes for me. People can call me any given time. I tell them all the time, call me whenever you want. Because that's what we do in recovery. We help one another. It says number 5. It says become vulnerable but stay strong. Therapy and counseling can be the beginning to a new life. Most great addiction treatment programs offer individual therapy and group therapy and continued care and counseling to deal with these types of feelings. It's important to remember that part of therapy is becoming vulnerable. You will feel exposed, you will feel ashamed or shortcomings or activities you engage in order to meet the needs of your addiction. But with therapy, you won't have your usual weapons of drugs and alcohol, denial, or anger. Vulnerability can be a key ingredient to change, and with strength, you'll be able to deal with it in a healthy way. Guilt and shame can be powerful emotions that can greatly affect or progress in your recovery in life. Holding on to feelings of guilt and shame can keep you stuck in the past and can even lead to relapse. Freeing yourself from guilt and shame isn't a lifelong pursuit. With the proper care and therapy, you can liberate yourself from emotions that are counterproductive to your recovery. So it talks about it says a lot about therapy, right? But it can go through therapy, counseling, uh, a mentor, a sponsor, whatever the case may be that works for you. Um, I choose to do a lot. So like I said earlier, I do a 12-step fellowship. I got a sponsor. I go to church. I go to therapy. There's things I do for my recovery, and that's one of the important things that everybody has to do is find something that works for you. We need that outlet for recovery, because we all go through things in life. Not just in addiction and recovery, like just in life in general. We have problems, we have grief, we have shame, guilt. We have all these things that happen, on a daily basis. And like I have to have something set in place so when these things do arise, I can talk to somebody about it. That's if I keep it in, our secrets will keep us sick. We keep these things in. Eventually, it's going to come out sideways. If I don't have an outlet, usually it doesn't end up too good. It's a lot better to get vulnerable, right? To open up. I don't have to do that with everybody, but I have to find my pack of people that I can. It's very important. I can't go along this recovery journey alone. I need people that hold me accountable, will check up on me, that want my best interest, and vice versa. It's very, very important. Like I don't want to come in recovery and hold on to this guilt, shame, and this fear, this anger, this resentment. It's not healthy. It's not healthy at all. It just causes more damage. To hold on to the past things that I've been through or I've done. It's miserable holding on to all this stuff. It's not good for your health. You know, and through working on myself, um, it gets easier. It does. It does. It really does get easier. Some days it feels harder than others, but like I can get through them without drugs and alcohol. That's one thing we must not do. Use. We don't use no matter what. Because this stuff passes. It doesn't. We don't. These emotions and feelings don't last forever. They shall pass. But if I pick up, yeah, I don't have a shot. Now I'm powerless. Now I know that addiction will take me places that I never want to go again. So I want to thank you, Shannon, for showing up. I appreciate everybody. Like I said earlier, my name is Carl. I'm a recovery coach here at Cap Recovery Center. This is our Freedom Fridays meeting. Until next time, we'll see you later.